Hey guys, how's it going? Tominator here. So let's take a look at this 2019 Arnold Classic Australia that just went down. I got footage from both the prejudging and the finals of the top 5 call out. So we're going to kind of let them go through these shots and I'll give you my opinion on how I see it. Okay, so right here in the front double biceps, I got to give it to Cedric. And I'll tell you why. So number one is the size advantage that he has on pretty much everyone in this show. You can see that he's literally dwarfing Bonac over there. Making him look like a 212 competitor. And he's even overpowering Luke Sandow, who's no slouch himself when it comes to the mass game. The other thing with Cedric is that he carries all that mass so well. Just the contour of his body, the shape of his muscles, the proportions and the balance, it's all on point. Very aesthetic physique for a man of his size. And the icing on the cake is that he actually came in conditioned here. So this is probably the best that I can remember seeing Cedric since at least the 2016 Arnold Classic when he was second to Kai Green. This is even better than what he brought in 2017 when he actually won the Arnold, because at that point he kind of just pulled ahead because, frankly, due to lack of competition. It's not like he was really that much better than we've usually seen him. It's just that he only had to go up against a young and inexperienced Dallas McCarver at that time. But anyway, here we can tell that he's definitely in better shape. You can note the dryness, the hardness of his legs in the lower body here. While they might not be as big as what we've seen on him in the past, he definitely sacrificed a little bit of fullness. But he's still huge, and they're not. The legs are a good size. They're not overblown. They're not throwing off his balance or anything like that. And we can still see cuts in them and stuff. So I think it's a good look for Cedric, and I think that he deserved that second place finish. Look at the arms too, the separation between the bis and the tris. He's got some abdominal definition. And just compare him to Luke Sandow there on to the left in terms of the arms alone. Cedric's are showing a lot more polish, a lot more kind of sheen. So I think it really just comes down to like Luke didn't put enough posing oil on the inside of his arms. So yeah, for what it's worth. But I do like the partial vacuum Luke's rocking. Got to give him kudos for that. Bonac here just looks a little bit too blocky. Doesn't have that nice flow. The waistline is way too wide for his height. So I think that's why he, no pun intended, comes up short in this one. Lenardowitz looks good. The arms need a little bit of work though compared to his torso. They look a little undersized, and his right arm actually looks bigger than the left. The left one looks weak. It could just be different color of background throwing it off. Rolly, you can tell he's still holding water. He still looks soft. Better than he was 2 weeks ago, but it wasn't enough time for him to make up the difference and come back like what we saw at the Olympia. This is not the same physique. So Lenardowitz looks pretty good here in the front lat spread. It's still one of his best shots. He fills it out very well. Got a great X-frame, very wide. If I'm going to nitpick, though, the only thing that I don't really like in this shot for him, I guess, is the pecs. And I think it's just a genetic thing. That split down on the lower portion just looks a little bit funny to my eyes. So might be a little unfair. But bodybuilding is a game of genetics, so you can't discount that. Now, William just looks too scrunched, too narrow, especially through the shoulders and pecs. And again, that wide waist is really hampering his taper. Cedric looks great. I really love the way his upper body looks in this shot. I mean, the lats just flare out really wide. He's got the wide set delts, and the pecs just look so full and round. Sandow there wasn't really filling it out as well as I've seen him do in the past. He definitely kind of took a step back in this show compared to where he was 2 weeks ago. He's not as sharp here. So in the side chest, I mean, pec-wise, I think Cedric is hands down the best, but in terms of overall density, mass, thickness, detail, I got to go with William Bonac on this one from the side because he's just packing way too much muscle on his frame here, and it fills it out like no other. I mean, the arms are absolutely outrageous on the guy. So I was kind of picking on him last time at the Arnold, Ohio, saying that his chest is a little bit almost underdeveloped in this shot, and not underdeveloped, but just kind of overshadowed, let's say, by the arms and the delts and even the massive glutes, which are conversely overdeveloped, if anything. And I don't really like to see that in a side chest. I mean, the chest should be the centerpiece of the shot, but he's kind of almost turning it into like a hands class most muscular from the side, a la Phil Heath. But yeah, I mean, still, it's hard to go wrong with William. Look at the striated pecs. He's got so much thickness there. They're just not the widest, that's all. Whereas Lenardowitz has a big wide chest, but it's looking pretty flat, and he doesn't have any detail there in the side leg. And Rolly looks good, but still, you can tell in the muscles that he's not flexing really hard, like his near pec there. He just looks so soft and smooth. It's only when he's really flexing hard that you see any kind of detail at all, because it needs to kind of, it's basically that film of water that's obscuring it. So turning around now. Going to be pretty tough to beat Bonac from the back. It always is. You just got so much density there. Like, look at that back, man. Look, you must have inches of thickness in those back muscles. Just ridiculous. The lower lats, the meaty middle portion of the back, the biceps, the striated glutes, the quad sweep, the calves. I mean, it's almost too much for these guys to really hope to compare. But Cedric's doing a good job measuring up. So he's not there with Bonac in a lot of areas. Like, he doesn't have as good of biceps. He doesn't have as good of calves or glutes. He doesn't have that same meatiness through the lats. But what he does have is he still has lots of detail. He still has a very good taper, better than Bonac's. He's got the size and the height. He's measuring up very well in terms of the hamstrings, maybe even better than Bonac in that area from the back. And my favorite part about this for Cedric is the lower back. Those spinal erectors, those lower lat insertions, creating that Christmas tree effect. It just looks so crisp. It looks so polished, man. And I love it. I could see people giving this to Cedric. I would still give Bonac a slight edge, mainly for the density, but if for nothing else, the biceps, man. This is a back double biceps, and Cedric's just look very, very kind of flat and underwhelming, whereas Williams look huge. So I think you got to count that for something. And also, Cedric's kind of shaking here. You can note that right now. And it doesn't look that professional, let's be honest. So you kind of got to dock some points for that, I'd say. Now, when they get into the rear lat spread, you'd think this would be a really strong shot for Lenardowitz because he was so good from the front, but not really. His lats, like the contour of them looks kind of messed up. I don't know what's going on there. And I don't see much detail. I don't know. Not really the best angle right now, but lower body-wise, Williams trouncing him. And I never really liked William too much in the rear lat spread before, but I guess from this more zoomed-in look, we can really notice that extra thickness and the density of these packs on that back, and just, it's crazy, man. So I might even give him the win here. Let's see Cedric. Yeah, I mean, Cedric's wider, and when he does this where he retracts his scapula and then flares him back out so we can see that Christmas tree again, I think it looks amazing. But I don't know. I just think Williams got too much muscle on his frame from the back and from the side for Cedric to really outdo him decisively. Now, the side tricep, I don't really like anyone in this frame right here. Gotta be honest. I mean, Sandow looks okay. I just wish, like, he kind of needs to, in my opinion, extend his arm a little bit more. That horseshoe looks a little bit faded. Could be sharper because he's not fully straightening the arm. Cedric's doing a good job of that, but I just feel like he needs to kind of open up a little bit more. This angle's not really optimal for him. And Bonac, man, I don't know why Bonac changed it up lately, because he used to do that nice kind of leaning back stance, and I thought it was money. But basically in the last couple shows, he's opted for this more conventional style, and I think it looks okay, but I don't know why he switched it up, because I thought the old way was better for him. Yeah, Lenardowitz doesn't really have the arms for it, and Rolly has the arms, but I don't know, I just don't like his execution in the side try. Now, in the ab and thigh, if Bonac had a good set of abs, it would make a world of difference, because that midsection right now, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I think it's pretty terrible for a professional bodybuilder of his caliber. I mean, there's almost no cuts or no definition in those abs at all. It just looks very messy and almost bloated a little bit, even though he doesn't have a bubble gut, and I think he did streamline a little bit from where he was 2 weeks ago, but just not a good-looking midsection. No two ways about it. So Rolly has a much better looking six-pack over there, but again, just too watery. Lenardowitz is better than Bonac in this one, but The abs still look a little faded on his part as well. He's got a really sharp serratus, though. But for some strange reason, he looks a little bit narrow through the lats upstairs, which doesn't make any sense to me because he's definitely got a ton of width up there, as we saw in the front lat spread. But for whatever reason, in this one, he doesn't look very wide. Yeah, I would probably give it to Cedric here. I think we get a better look at that in the finals. Sandow, too. I think those two are 1 and 2 in this shot here. And finally, we go into the most muscular. And I don't know, man. I'm a little bit underwhelmed with William right now. I'm not sure if it's just because he's standing in the midst of all these bigger bodybuilders, but I just don't really see him dominating here. Like, I thought in the Olympia, when he was standing on that top 4 call out, he was arguably winning the most muscular shots against the likes of Phil Heath and Rolly, but standing in between Cedric and Lenardowitz and then Sandow over there, I mean, he's just kind of getting outmassed here. So you can tell that just structurally, like, look how much taller and wider Cedric and Sandow are in this shot. I think they're kind of crushing William in it, even though William's probably got the best muscle bellies of anybody. It's not enough to overcome that limited structure. One thing about Cedric, the only thing I would really pick apart here on him is standing in between Sandow and William. He kind of suffers in the forearm department. I feel like he could kind of work to bring up his brachioradialis, but that's just kind of a niggling criticism. Sandow looks exceptional. I think he's crushing it. Could definitely be running away with this if he was in the same condition as he was 2 weeks ago, but not quite that sharp. So it's kind of a toss-up between him and Cedric, I'd say. And Lenardowitz definitely sacrificed a lot of size, is not big as a house like how he was a couple weeks back. So now we're going to take a look at the finals. And when I first saw this on the stream, I was like, is this still the prejudging? Because the background's the same. They haven't changed the lighting or anything. They usually tend to do that at these bigger shows. And they tend to actually improve the lighting, I found, in the finals, because it's usually kind of dark and dim in the prejudging for whatever reason, and then they ramp it up in the finals, and the lighting's a lot more bright and dynamic, but it's the exact same backdrop, exact same looking lighting, so the exact same call out, but you can tell that they're the order of these guys is different. They're standing in different locations on the stage now, so this is the finals. And in the side relaxed here, William, hands down for me. I just think he looks the most polished. But from the back, this one was surprising because I would give it to Cedric. I really would. I mean, look at the Christmas tree, man. Look at the hammies. William doesn't have those striations in the glutes right now in this shot, so he's not really beating Cedric too badly in that area. And Cedric's, even his upper back, like the traps and everything, look more defined than William, so I'd give it to Cedric hands down here. Even Sandow maybe, well, he doesn't have the same thickness as William in the back, though. But from the side, I think it's all William. And, okay, they're going to jostle him around here a bit. Yeah, I think Rolly was even a little fortunate to take third here. You could make a case for Sandow beating him. He was certainly more conditioned. So in the front double, once again, I would give it to Cedric. Rolly looks good only really through the arms. Like, I don't really like his flow anymore. Compared to how it was at the Olympia anyway. I don't think he's quite on that level right now. And he's too watery. Front lat spread, though, of the guys here, yeah, I'd give it to Cedric. I guess my one kind of nitpicky critique here is maybe it's just the angle, but it looks slightly asymmetrical the way that his shoulders and pecs are kind of lined up. I don't know if you guys are seeing that as well, but I like the left side of Cedric, so his right side more than vice versa. Just doesn't look like he's flaring that one lat out as wide as the other. But anyway, I think he still probably takes that front lat spread. Side chest, man, look at Cedric's chest. Look at the fullness of it compared to somebody like Lenardowitz, for instance. I mean, that just is night and day. The genetics through the chest there. But William, just look at all the little details and striations, even through the delts and stuff. Like, I think it's just a little too much for Cedric right now. Cedric was kind of like 90% here at this show. He needed to be 100% to knock off this version of Bonac. And let's get another look here at the back double. Oh, and Arnold's going to pop his head up for a look himself. Yeah, I don't know, man. The more they zoom out, the more this tends to favor Cedric, I think, because of the size difference, right? When they zoom closer in, you can catch those finer details and the extra thickness and density of Bonac, but the further they go, the more this looks better for Cedric. Yeah, I think when Cedric's really like hitting this one all the way, lats fully expanded, he probably takes it. But it's close between him and William. Rolly looks great too, but in the lower body, not so much. Upper back though, like those traps are huge and thick. And this side try once again. Who you guys got here? Let me know in the comments, because I'm not really sure which way to go with this one. I think I need to see like more pictures or different angles or something, because I feel like Cedric should be winning it, but based on this shot right here, I'd probably still have to go with William. I mean, just compare their lower bodies, if nothing else. I think their upper bodies, you might give Cedric a slight edge, but lower body wise, I think William's just cleaning up. Rolly, look at the tricep there. But I don't know what's up with that weird stance. Okay, now he's back in the regular one. Rolly just seems kind of uncertain of what to do in that one. Nice vacuum by Sando there. So my problem with Sando here, and you can note it right now, look how much he's breathing in and out through the abs. Like, he's really kind of struggling. He looks kind of winded, honestly. So I think he needs to work on his cardio or his stamina or something. And he's not flexing the quads at all, so that's hurting him. I feel like if he was doing that, he could be winning this pose, but he just looks a little bit, I don't know, out of his depth right now. So I would go with Cedric here as the winner. Rolly could be winning as well. It's just, again, Cedric's a little sharper right now. But I would have probably those guys 1 and 2. Sandow third, just because he's not flexing the legs. Bonac's still in last, though. I mean, there's just not much he can do with this pose with a midsection like that. All right, and let's wrap it up again with the most muscular, and we'll call it a day. So Lenardowitz looks great in that hands-on hip. You can see all the crazy vascularity. He's such a freak. But he really, really looks so much smaller compared to how he did 2 weeks ago. So that just goes to show how much water he was holding, and he was definitely a lot fuller then. He's a little more conditioned now for sure, but I don't know. Overall, I think I even preferred that bigger version of him for the freak factor, I guess, because even though he looks better overall now from a conditioning standpoint, I just he doesn't have the same wow factor anymore. William looks really good, but then again, Cedric and Rolly aren't in it. So I think William looks a little bit better now than he did in the prejudging from this angle. Still, it's hard to go wrong with Cedric. The guy's like a statue. Rolly, I don't know. I'm not really a huge fan of him hitting the crab in the conventional way. I like the way that he used to do it, where it was kind of like a hybrid between the crab and the hands clasped, where he was standing a little more upright. Because here in this shot, it's really just about the arms and the shoulders. You can barely even see the pecs. So it's just like arms, shoulders, and traps. And I think he's just hunched over a little too much. I like the way Cedric's hitting it more, actually. A little more upright. You can see the pecs better. So I would give Cedric the crab here over William. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. I do think William deserved it. But I think you can make a solid argument for Cedric winning as well. Certainly from an aesthetic standpoint, from like a proportions and just who do you want to look like perspective, it's Cedric all day. But from just a raw muscularity, muscle maturity, conditioning point of view, you got to go with Bonac. So anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you think. That's how I see it. So I think it was a fair outcome. But thank you all for watching. Until next time, I'm the Tominator signing off, and I'll be back.